For your hosting and domain needs, head over to HostGator where you could get plans starting as low as $3.95 a month. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below. Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So just a few days ago, AMD officially unveiled the details of both the brand new AMD RX Vega series of GPUs and also the pricing details and also different versions of the upcoming Ryzen ThreadRipper CPUs. And so what does all of this mean and what do I think about it myself? Well, much like what I thought about what happened when AMD released their RX series of GPUs, which I myself have. I actually have the AMD RX 470. AMD is bringing out the big guns. Okay, I mean, quite literally, they are going after Intel and Nvidia in a way that I have not seen in a very long time. So the very first thing that they did was bring out the AMD RX GPU, the 400 series, and those were basically hitting both the low end and the mid-range GPUs, giving you something that AMD has always been known for, which is value, and at the same time, excellent performance for the price that you are paying. But now, AMD really wanted to step up their game, and it started with the whole Ryzen series of CPUs. And these were more mid all the way up to high-end, CPUs, meant to compete directly with Intel. And at the time, they even made sure that people knew that there was also going to be an accompanying high-end GPU series that's going to be coming out as well. And these are all based upon their new Zen core architecture for their CPUs. And now we also have, as you see here, their ultra high-end AMD Ryzen ThreadRipper series. Tons of cores, absolutely crazy amounts of multi-threaded processing. And once again, this is just an area where AMD excels when it comes to value, but this is really for people who want an extreme amount of high performance, in both from a GPU perspective and also a CPU perspective. And even though these prices for these, and I'll go into this a little bit more, even though they are not cheap at all, if you compare to the offerings that Nvidia is offering, and especially what Intel is offering, this is absolutely amazing for what they are actually giving you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the AMD RX Vega series. So these are meant to go head to head with Nvidia's. Okay, so Nvidia, they have their 1070, 1080, and of course their high-end 1080 Ti, and these are expensive. Let's just be real. They are not cheap. For their 1080 Ti and 1080, you could easily spend upwards of $1,000, just for the GPUs. Okay, and that is something that I don't think the majority of people is going to be able to spend. But for the person who really wants ultra high level performance, then it's worth it, especially if they have like a dual card setup. Okay, now with the actual Vega series itself, they're going to be doing what they did with the Ryzen series. So they're breaking it up into 3 different categories. Okay, all of them will have 8 gigs of really high bandwidth memory. It's HBM2 memory, so this is really speedy. And even though they're based upon the same architecture, as you can see, their performance keeps getting better as you go higher, and of course the power consumption increases as well. And here is the boost GPU on here, and also the boost clocks. So it starts at 1156 megahertz, goes all the way up to 1406 megahertz. And look at the amount of teraflops performance right here. 10.5 teraflops all the way up to 13.7 teraflops. I mean, this thing, it's gonna be pretty insane what it can do. And what's also insane, obviously, is the pricing. So there's the Vega 56, and then the 2 other ones, the 64. Okay, and so these are, I would say, definitely going to be outside, in my opinion, for the majority of casual gamers like myself. Okay, so if I wanted more GPU performance, like for me, this would be high end, at $399. And it will pretty much give me more gaming than, like I said, just like even my current one with the 470, more than gaming than I'll probably ever need. Okay, and so it goes all the way up to a liquid cooled edition of the Vega GPU. And so here, just look at some pricing. 56 starts at $399, and this will outperform the 1070. And then also the Vega 64 starts at $500. And then you could also get the liquid cooled version, which actually comes in these thing called Radeon packs. And so basically they're going to give you a discount on a Samsung ultra wide monitor, $100 discount off an AMD CPU, motherboard combo, and some of them even come packed in with a game, as you can see here. So you have all these different options. And AMD is really going for the high performance junkies right here, the gamers out there. And then this would coincide directly with their ThreadRipper CPUs as well. And so all of this is, once again, is not made for the general consumer or casual gamer like myself. Okay, so if you were to get something that's comparable, at least with what Nvidia for the GPU is currently offering, and also with what Intel is currently offering, then you're not going to be able to get this same type of performance for the same price. Okay, so let's move on to the ThreadRipper. And once again, they've also broke it up into different models. Okay, so it is a 16-core ThreadRipper. I think this is the highest end one they have, the 1950. That is a $1,000. There's a 12-core version, it's 808-core at $550, which is all really reasonable considering the performance you're going to get, especially when you compare it against Intel's latest offering, the 16-core i9, which is $1,700. Okay, so you're saving like $700, and that's not even including the board that you're going to have to buy for these CPUs. So the 12 core is $1,200. Wow, that's really expensive. When you look at this and you're thinking like, wow, this is really expensive, but then when you look at what Intel is offering, that is a bargain. Okay, and you're also going to get more bang for your buck, not only when it comes to cores, but also all the processing, the memory bandwidth, and so forth underneath. It's just going to be a much better deal. And even if you looked at the benchmarks that they've already put on there, the Ryzen ThreadRipper is just an amazing performer. It actually outperforms or keeps in parity, especially on multi-core performance, than that of the much more expensive Intel Core i9. Okay, and so this is an example where they're comparing the $800 12-core versus the 10-core i9, which is still more expensive. Okay, so, but with all these different benchmarks programs that they're running, the most important thing is real world performance. But as we've seen, starting with the new AMD RX 400 series GPU, when that first came out, the actual performance for the specs and everything they were touting really lived up to it. And then they proved that again whenever they released their AMD Ryzen CPU chipsets. And now I really think they will repeat the same thing again for the upcoming AMD Vega and also the ThreadRipper. It's just going to be an awesome time to be a gamer and also to be a content creator, because the actual ThreadRippers, it's meant for real strong multi-core performance. And so you will technically get better performance from a single core for purely gaming. But for everything else, especially, like I said, for content creation, multi-threading, the ThreadRipper just crushes it. Okay? And as more and more games actually take advantage of this multi-core setup, this thing is going to be even more powerful in the future. Okay? And since it has such a huge a PCI lane, the bandwidth, you're going to be able to add quite a few GPUs in there as well. And so I'm not really focused too much on the specs here because, to me, a lot of this is just extremely, extremely powerful. And for the high-end gamer, once again, a lot of these things make sense for them to spend the money. And when you're getting something like this, where it's more future-proof than, say, getting an offering with Intel at this point, then you're getting even more out of your dollars, or out of the money that you're spending for what you're getting now, but also what you're going to be getting in the future. And similarly, I would say the same thing for their GPUs as well. Now, in terms of whether or not this whole AMD pack-in is actually valuable, when you're spending this much money anyway, why not? I mean, I know in some cases it could be like, well, we're kind of forcing you to buy the pack-in package, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get this liquid cooled. But, if you're going to be spending out much and you get all these, other things with it, including games and a discount on a high-end monitor, then that's pretty awesome. And, even at this price point, $700, I still think that's a really good deal. I mean, if you think about everything that you're getting right here, okay? And there it is. The air-cooled edition standalone is $400 to $500. And so, I'm sorry, that's our air-cooled. Yeah, so not the liquid-cooled here, but still, all of these are really great prices. And I can't wait until, the actual real-world performance comes out. I really think, like I said earlier, with everything that AMD has been doing these past few years, they've been doing an amazing job. I've loved AMD CPUs and GPUs before they were AMD, before AMD bought it, from ATI. It's going to be pretty incredible. And at the same time, it really gives a lot of needed competition for, first and foremost, Intel, and then secondly for Nvidia. Now, Nvidia, they're a little different. I don't think they're the type of company, unlike Intel, to rest on their laurels, but they are going to be coming out with a new series of GPUs as well. Let me see if there's the name on it. I forgot what the name is. But Nvidia is also going to be releasing a new line of GPUs as well. And so we'll see what happens there. But basically, AMD has pretty much thrown down the gauntlet for both of their competitors. Like I said, it started with the RX 400 series of GPUs, with the Ryzen, and now with this. And I really hope that they keep things coming, because not only is it going to provide more competition, but as always, more competition, especially when it's comes to giving gamers and high-end PC aficionados more bang for their buck. And then when that's the case, then everybody wins. And so if you had any thoughts on the AMD RX Vega GPUs, their ThreadRipper, or anything else that AMD has been doing recently, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, leave a like and subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/Geek Outdoors. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.